I'm having fun with this game. I just want to push on through, push and push and push and beat this thing, just for fun.
Each formation, and Xi Jinping has done a lot in the direction of
Just casually accomplishing this. Continue.
podcast.
All right,
I
so
think in comparison to the average person's
length. I
understanding,
think this is enough length,
it
maybe.
was crude, it was reductive, but it was absolutely far better than the average Westerner. I am, again, rating Kevin Rudd on the fucking curve, okay? In comparison to the way that most Western analysts rate China, the very notion that he recognizes that these guys are committed Marxist-Leninists is
That
automatically,
was easy, and
it's automatically
this is what I wanted to do. This is fun. See, I had 100. I have over 100,000, so I don't even worry about like,
I think
have I earned enough or whatever. I'm just casually doing this.
of China
Length,
stems
length.
from his liberal
At least
worldview.
one word length will be good for
He was
me.
much better on Chinese government and he's pandering for clout nowadays. I mean, ultimately, my point wasn't about, he's great on China or I agree with
Okay,
him. My point was that
it's more expensive now than it used to be, but this is fine.
person I disagree with still has done the fucking reading. If you are a Western analyst, if you are a Western politician, and you openly say, look, we must not underestimate China, and that they are committed to their understanding, their own interpretation
Okay, we did good. We did good. We did real
on
good.
their socialist development, but they are still nevertheless committed to developing socialism. Okay, you are far above almost every other Western analyst, because Western analysts look at this and they go, China is capitalist. China doesn't care about anything other than just like being other than the CCP controlling the government.
I want
And
power. I
they
want size. I
harass everyone
want length.
endlessly. They fucking destroy and kill political dissidents. There's mass surveillance, all this stuff, which Kevin Rudd also points to, right? Ultimately, he still understands China far better than the average Westerner does. I'll give you a more contemporary example of this, even though the Chinese one is obviously still very relevant because it's our major adversary, right? Our major adversary as the great control behemoth that's destroying the world from the assessment of Western analysts. It's Iran. The
We
reason
need
why
more
so many of my
power, more fuel.
counterparts got the Iran situation wrong is because they were blinded by ideology and they were blinded by Western primacy. Okay? They had a bias. They could not fathom that a middle power could potentially effectively control the Strait of Hormuz. Use the geographical limitations of the Strait of Hormuz, which is only 21
Fuel
miles
and
wide,
power.
to their advantage with a relatively low cost strategy of just drone striking commercial vessels. The reason why we got that wrong, or the reason why we got that right here, is because I understand and take seriously the things that foreign adversaries say. Okay? But here
All
we
right, we
go.
did it.
Iran has now just been considered a possible global
This
superpower.
feels good.
It's not a global superpower still, okay? But it's very clear that it can project power beyond its immediate borders, or rather, they are capable of projecting power right next to their borders, which happens to be one of the most important geographical locations for the global energy trade. My point is, if you underestimate Iran, you find yourself confused 200 days in, where you think to yourself, how the fuck did this happen? Why can America not militarily destroy Iran? Why can't America, why can't the United States of America force Iran to heel? It's because we
Ah,
underestimated the Iranian capabilities. Okay? You can fill a book with pro-war pundits who were embarrassingly wrong about almost every aspect of the Iran war and led Trump and the U.S. into disaster. Here's the threat of just some of the worst offenders and the utter tripe. They want you to forget that they were battling. Max Abrams. Abrams is really feeling himself after Trump attacks on Iran last year. the avoidance of Marley and that general limited U.S. involvement was because of Iran's restraint at the time. He decided to take this confirmation that the risks were non-existent and that anybody who had ever warned about them was wrong, kicking off a months-long victory lap aimed at war skeptics. In a debate over the war at last year's National Conservative
Okay, we're not quite there. We'll do a little power and a little fuel.
The idea that a war with Iran would be a change war, that it would necessitate U.S. ground troops, that it would be a protracted conflict, that it would kill Americans, it hurt the U.S. economy, and that it would deal with more of the world become tragic. That was wrong. That was laughably wrong. By April, Abrams was arguing that the United States has enhanced its military capability through this war, concealing the nonsense that there was some benefit to the United States of America here, when everyone that was
Okay, let's go for more power, more fuel.
That may have demanded this kind of dangerous military escalation had recognized, like the Atlantic Council, Danny Citrinowicz, at the Atlantic Council, a NATO Atlanticist in every way, shape, and
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there.
in the way that they see the world. Okay? They were early in recognizing how big of a disaster this was becoming for American dominance around the world.
Right.
For American
I want power and fuel again.
Okay? Some recognized it early on. There are those who did not. Part of that was because they were ideologically invested in advancing the Great Research Project, ideologically invested in the idea that American military dominance is absolute. Okay? And that a country like Iran would never be able to.
Let's go.
This is what happens when you underestimate.
I think I'm done.
This is what happens when you underestimate your foreign adversary. Many of these
Yep.
guys on the Republican
Finally.
side, and maybe even some on the liberal side who are collaborating with them, will turn around and say, Hassan, you're pro-Iran. You're pro-China. You love China more than you love America. You love Iran more than America. I live in the United States of America. I am an American, okay? My point always has been there are things that we can learn from these supposed foreign adversaries, and that we should always give peace a chance. That's my attitude on this, okay? So you can turn around and say, oh, you're faltering, you're actually fake, you're an hierarchy defender all day, every day. None of that matters, okay? What matters is we were right, and these guys were wrong. So one must understand why we were right and they were wrong. That's it. Do you want to keep being
So,
on
I
over
just
and
want to
over
keep it
again
over 100.
until your force projection capability diminishes further? Or do you want to get back to the drawing board and maybe restrain yourself? Former 15-minute correspondent Cecilia Vega said CBS News executive pressure.
I should probably increase the length also.
Vega was asked to describe Iran as being outgunned by the United States and Israel, which called an administration talking point. This doesn't actually serve anyone. When you delude the base, when you lie to the base, you only basically win some time for yourself,
Okay.
for your movement. It's
We need fuel and
but at the end of the
power.
day, the truth prevails,
Fuel.
right?
Give me
That's how
length.
we arrive. That's
We
how
should
we
take the fuel
arrived in
too.
a situation this past weekend where Donald Trump was sprinkling further military infiltrated Hormuz, only to then restrain himself by force. And when asked why Donald Trump did not do the big military conflict over Big X that's even deeper than the previous facilities that we had bombed into oblivion.
Oh.
He turned around and said, we're running out of interceptor missiles. The U.S. government is now allowing some of the Iranian missiles to go through, especially if they calculate that the Iranian ballistic munitions are not supposed to hit direct targets. They're allowing those missiles to go through and strike. Some of those missiles have killed American active duty service members at this point.
Try to take up to 3,000.
Is probably far higher. But the number that we know right now is, I think, either 16 or 18. The calculations are changing. Why is the American government now deciding to chart a different path forward? Well, because the truth always prevails. There's nothing you can do. If at the end of the day, Iranian missiles are striking U.S. military bases
Okay.
and killing American
Let's go again.
active duty service members. There's not too much you can do about, changing the dynamic of that by gapping. You can't out-propaganda
We're not at 100,000.
dying,
We're at
okay?
90.
And
So we should get. Let's get back up to 100 at least.
What's understand. What's always important is even if you want to have a tactical advantage over your foreign adversaries, even if you disagree with me vehemently on this issue, okay, you still need to read. You still need to study.
Okay, let's do it.
You still need to identify how other people think. That's why I said the Kevin Rudd conversation, in my opinion, because he does. Kevin Rudd and I disagree on China or China's place around the world. I don't think it's as scary as Rudd presents it. Obviously, he's a former prime minister of Israel, and of course, he has this kind of attitude. But at the end of the day,
Here we go. We got
at the
this.
very least, studied contemporary and ancient Chinese history, and has direct and personal involvement with the development of the People's Republic of China, and he understands why
Power.
became the behemoth that it is.
The first is, I read an article he concluded that he is a convinced Marxist dialectician. What do I mean by that?
I'm all the way down to 47,000. Getting up to 100,000 is going to be hard.
It's very important, David.
All right, let's do power and fuel.
Which says that change in society inequalities occurs between this between present cause and reaction forces. It's how it describes forces on the particles and capitalist class ultimately one combine against the other, overturns the other, and creates a new synthesis.
All right, we want fuel and power.
He said that the inhabitable struggle get leaders through capitalist economies. That's true. I'm sure the agency what they call class struggle or just struggle.
Why is this happening to me?
So bear with me for a moment. This is urgent stuff. I quite like this affects me terribly. This is serious. This is seriously turgid. I've had to read this stuff, and I wouldn't recommend it to any of you unless you're something from deep inside.
Oh my god. Fuel.
But historical
Power.
parallel discipline, which asks Marxist historians this question: where are we in this current historic the evolution of this inequitable struggle between progressive and reactionary forces between
Level 12. Okay. I gotta remember, level 12 requires more money. Like, I might want to have like 200,000 or something going into level 12. I think this is gonna be the after level 12 is gonna be the it's gonna be the orange juice stage. That orange juice stage is
this kind of
is
this kind of thought in this very moment.
I'm gonna need even more than 100,000 going into that.
The reason why this is happening is because it's undeniable. It's undeniable that China has a greater presence on the global stage. It's undeniable that their growth has given them tremendous economic leverage.
All right, let's do this. Fuel, power.
America, at some point, they even bring up the fact that China defeated Donald Trump and his terrorist agenda. Out of every Western analyst you listen to, I was probably one of the very few that told you exactly what was going to happen with Liberation Day tariffs, at least with our relationship with China. There's a reason why I, a person that they call a radical, a person that they call silly and stupid, got that right. It's not because I have unbelievable foresight. It's because I'm intellectually curious and also honest. Okay? That's it. If you were in here when Liberation Day was happening, what did I tell you? I told you that Liberation Day and all these mass tariffs that Donald Trump is trying to position as he forcibly tries to decouple the rest of the world from the fruits of Chinese manufacturing. This design that we placed together, this design that we created for the international markets, which we no longer want. So we're just basically trying to wipe the board clean because of our now over reliance on Chinese manufacturing, was not going to work. It was not going to work in the short term. It was not going to work in the long term. And the reason for that is because China has a monopoly on rare earth, on the procurement and refinement of rare earth minerals, critical minerals that are necessary for naturally everything else. If you knew that, as I did, you would recognize that that is a massive point of leverage that China had over the United States of America. Okay? So a lot of these people that still turn around and say, oh, Hassan, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Why were you wrong then? Why was I a stupid guy? Why was I right and you were wrong? How did that happen? Same thing goes.
Power, fuel.
Chinese ghosting. If you are so ideologically blinded by the notion that housing is simply a speculative asset and that no one could possibly build housing to shelter folks, no one could possibly build housing for any purpose other than economic activity to show the Western world.
I want to get into one, at least 100,000, if not more.
That China was simply building housing with a long-term shelter attitude in mind. Then yes, you would read those articles about the ghost cities of China, and you would laugh, and you would think to yourself, oh, look at these silly guys. They're just trying to build housing to make it look like they have tremendous economic activity taking place in the countryside, and not realize that there was rapid urbanization that was taking place. There was rapid development taking place. This is what I mean when I say do not underestimate your opponent. Consider China to be an
Six higher. I gotta stop playing it.
Try to understand where they're coming from. Okay, where have you been? I've been looking for videos on if you were banned or something. And I ChatGPT I grokked it. They said you were planning stuff in Burnout. Wait, what? You had GPT. Wow, that's great. Anyways, let's get back to the Sean Hannity conversation.
Alright, this one we're gonna have to get rid of quickly.
Many due to starvation, many more died in political prison camps or at the barrel of a gun lined up against the wall. Now, this is what Democratic radical socialists want to bring.
It's getting more expensive, isn't it?
He's all smiles, kicks and giggles, laughing and get up with New York City's communist mayor. Take a look.
You know, being a Muslim democratic socialist would be pretty straightforward.
You just don't like I label myself something that scares people the most. I'm a Muslim democratic socialist.
And she's scared.
And I'd like to run your public transportation system. Oh, okay, what happened to the free buses anyway? And now, according to Jon Stewart, there's no need to panic over the rise of socialism. It's just a populist economic movement. Apparently, Jon Stewart is thinking...
he's not wrong about the
stated in the DSA's own charter. Take a look.
buses not being there.
All these new ideas. Suddenly the democratic socialists, they're crazy. You're like, well, the crazy ideas aren't where the energy is. The energy isn't around, like, you shouldn't have prisons or borders. The energy is around a belief that their economic optimism, and when you call it socialism, I think it's a misnomer. Like, in the same way that if you call Social Security socialism, that's kind of a misnomer. It's about strengthening a thinking net for a country that has suffered too long, overvaluing capital and money and undervaluing labor and money. Now, the energy is about open borders, defund, dismantle, no bail laws, reimagine the police.
Let's get the power.
I mean, yes, they are. Americans are self-identifying liberals, okay, for the most part. This is something that we have to understand, okay? What do I always say?
I use all my money on this level. 60,000 going into this level was not enough.
You have to speak the language of the masses, and you have to go to where the masses are. Okay? That's it. And after almost a century of liberal monoculture, liberal capitalist dominance, of course, a lot of people...
Power and fuel.
or the identifier of socialism to be far too radical or dangerous or whatever. But these are baby steps that they need to take, performance baby steps that I think a lot of Orthodox Marxists consider to be dangerous because this is the.
I was supposed to just play this for a little while.
That initially
How long have I been playing?
The international left.
Hours and hours. All right. Let's stop. Let's just knock all the power up as far as we can.
Okay.
And just do one last run.
Recognize the situation has changed. Okay, industry has advanced, and the same productive forces. The productive forces of the West do not look the same anymore. Okay, so our tactics have to change as well, especially in the United States of America, where we have to penetrate collective consciousness and we have to rip apart the previous setbacks born out of a century of Red Scare propaganda.
Oh, okay.
A necessity for capital to dominate.
I can feel up a little bit.
To make the masses forget that they are a part of the working class. If it stops here, then that's a problem. Okay? We do not want simple, modest reforms. Okay? We want to change the entire system, but you have to understand it's not bad enough for people to come to terms with their class.
Oh, sorry.
Okay? Contradictions are as bad as they have ever been in the last 50 to 60 years. It's nowhere, but it's not as bad as it was in the 20s. Technological advancements, the set element of social media and all of the treats that we can consume that are at our disposal. These are things that make people feel as though their lives have materially improved. And in some respects, they have. Right? If you were to look back in the 60s, for example, the luxury items that we have, the average worker, and the luxury items that they are capable of receiving, that they're capable of holding on to, are the exact opposite. Okay? Now we look at housing as a luxury, but at the same time, we just fly around the world. Right? You can get a little bit of disposable income if you're lucky enough, if you saved enough to go and fly anywhere around the world. You can have TV. You can have a refrigerator in your house that's much nicer than the refrigerator that you did. If you look at the actual cost of a television in like the 70s and 80s, it was far higher than the average cost of a TV now. But at the same time, if you look at the price of housing, whether it be rent or whether it be housing that you can purchase, it was endlessly affordable in comparison to now. Take it
Whew. Okay.
all the way back to
I think it's time to stop now. That's all, folks. Please like, subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
experiencing things.
Stop